Hi everybody, it's Heath, and I found some rules about falling asleep on watch, and then also what it might take to wake up from sleep while you're on watch if somebody else is trying to infiltrate your camp. So this is definitely a set of rules for the people who like rolling a lot of dice, and this is, I think, the most comprehensive kind of rule set for falling asleep and then trying to wake back up when you're under attack on watch that I've ever seen. This is a rule set within the Hackmaster game, specifically within its Dungeon Master's Guide. And I've wanted to experiment with Hackmaster and its rule set for tactical combat and its initiative system because it's got this kind of real-time initiative system. I got to experiment with its system at Gen Con with the creator one year, and I haven't gotten to play it with friends. But if you are interested in kind of a very tactical, real-time, dice-heavy kind of combat system, to me it was the best one that I played, and I had a lot of fun trying it out. But this is specifically on sleep and what happens on watch, which is something that's often brushed over in Dungeons & Dragons. Okay, let's get to it. Dozing off on watch. As a GM, you will be confronted quite often, actually, with both NPCs, especially lazy monsters like orcs and goblins, and PCs pulling guard duty in the wee hours. These are the basic rules for falling asleep on duty. The basic chance for a character to doze off is a competing wisdom check, D20P plus wisdom, against a straight D20P plus 4. Hackmaster uses the word penetrating for explosion, so these are penetrating or exploding D20 rolls. Once a character dozes off, if undisturbed for at least 10 minutes, make a second check against D20P plus 8, failure indicating the character has fallen into a slumber. If undisturbed for at least 10 minutes more, make a third check against D20P plus 12, failure indicating the character has fallen into a deep sleep. This is the kind of stuff that I really would have liked years ago. And I can definitely see a particular style of game today even that I might play with the right kind of people who would appreciate this kind of thing. Apply all applicable modifiers from Table 3.7 below. Note that standing characters will fall, allowing for another save. Sitting characters may fall, but only after slumbering, unless sitting precariously to begin with. So here are our modifiers. Tired, weary, beat, dog-tired, exhausted, or depleted. So we've got lots of potential conditions for how tired you are. +6, no sleep per day before. -4, slept for 4.5 hours immediately prior. Less sleep talent, slept 1 to 1.5 hours immediately prior. Additional save if you fall over. -6 if you are conversing with another character in a normal voice, so you can have somebody with you on watch to that you can talk with, and that will decrease the chance you're going to fall asleep. Conversing with another character in hushed tones. Pacing about, standing or laying down. And then awakening from sleep. There are a myriad ways a character can awaken from sleep. A cold cup of water tossed to the face, the smell of bacon cooking, a punch to the eye, a loud noise, jostling, bright light, warm urine, and so on. In any case, all involving a sensory detection, either sight, sound, touch, or smell. When any sensory information assails a character in such a way that you feel there's a chance for the character to notice, or request a PC2 if you prefer, but do not give anything away, for the character to either awaken or remain asleep. At the character's option, they may be trying to sleep through a storm or the incessant bickering of fools on watch. Again, this is a wisdom check run the same way as the character to fall asleep, but in reverse, with only one check necessitated against a D20P plus 4. So now here we get into how long it takes to wake up, because remember in the Hackmaster initiative system, you're going second by second, and you know how long certain actions are going to take, how many seconds, and as you count up by seconds, once the number of seconds have elapsed, that is how long that action takes, then the player can take that action, or other NPC. Characters awaken in D12P, that's penetrating again, so an exploding D12, seconds minus the amount of time they succeeded in making their wisdom check to awaken. Add this to the count that the awakening mechanism occurred. Failed sneaking roll, thunder, shouts, etc. A 0 or lower roll means the character awoke instantly, and a negative result further modifies the D4 penetrating seconds required to come and act after awakening. Once a character awakes, he requires a further D4P seconds to react. Frequency of checking to awaken is every second that trigger exists. For example, a single thunderclap would afford one roll to move from deep sleep to slumber, whilst a continuous din such as battle or ally raising the alarm over and over would allow a new check every second. So let's take a look at some situations to check for awakening and their modifier. Noise soft, like a twig breaking. Noise medium, like speaking in a normal tone, distant thunderclap. Noise loud, combat, +4. Dim light, like a candle, medium light, bright light, like sunlight, touch, soft caressing, medium touching, heavy touching, mild aromas, medium aromas like food, cooking, or strong aroma. Forced awakening. Sleepers require 2d4p seconds to awake when an alarm is sounded. If jostled, shaken, slapped, or injured, this time is reduced to 4dp seconds. So this is if your watchman doesn't fall asleep and they shout an alarm to you when somebody's coming into the camp. Just because they do that doesn't mean you can wake up and act instantly. You've still got to wake up yourself. A coup de gras on a sleeping opponent requires an additional d12p if the executioner wants to avoid waking the victim during the process. Recall that a typical coup de gras involves an awake but helpless foe that is already raising a racket. A low d12p roll indicates the victim is laying on his back, mouth and throat exposed. A high roll means the victim is situated in an unhelpful position, arm covering neck, on sides, and facing away, etc. And the murderer must spend extra time carefully maneuvering into an effective position. We do have an example here, and it's a lot to read through, but I suppose we could, just briefly to see how this goes. Let's consider the common situation where the party thief, a sly halfling known as Mac the Knife, wants to eliminate a couple of lazy gnoll sentries while they are asleep. Mac first sneaks 32% up on the snoring gnolls. It's a competing check versus the gnolls listening 40% with an easy plus 80 bonus since they are in deep sleep. Sadly, Mac rolls a 4. 4 plus 32 plus 8 equals 116 versus the gnoll that rolls a 96. 96 plus 40 equals 136, and the other with a 67. 67 plus 40 equals 107. The first gnoll can make a check to see if he moves from deep sleep to slumber. Since Mac barely, less than 10%, missed his roll, the GM rules the noise was a small one, so the gnoll suffers a -8 penalty to his waking attempt for this condition. Other applicable modifiers are bright light plus 2, no touch -8, and strong aroma plus 2. These are based on the GM's subjective interpretation of lighting conditions. Torchlight is bright for gnoll, and the gnoll's keen senses of smell. Thus, the gnoll attempts a wisdom check d20 plus 3, which is wisdom, minus 12 conditions, versus a straight d20p plus 4. The gnoll fails this roll. So then next Mac positions himself for a coup de gras against gnoll number 2, and it goes on. Well, what do you think? I mean, this is definitely for people who like the dice rolling and they like lots of detail. If you're into this kind of thing, check out the Hackmaster Dungeon Master's Guide. You may want to give Hackmaster a try, or you might want to try to import some of these ideas into your Dungeons & Dragons game. I have been working over here on the relaunch of Terra Tiles, and also on getting out material for The Cultists Season 2, so there's a lot coming in those areas as well that I've been working on here. More information on that to come, but in the meantime, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Later. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and all of that jazz. It really helps a lot. But also, please check out The Cultists, the web series on this channel about modern-day D&D playing Lovecraftian cultists who just want to worship Cthulhu in a world full of people who just don't understand. Season 1 is on the channel now. But also, please check out my YouTube channel. I have over 150 videos on tabletop games and the fantasy genre. If you've enjoyed this video, you might enjoy many of them as well. I look forward to seeing you for them and many more videos to come.